French media are reporting at least 84 people are dead after a large truck ploughed into a Bastille Day celebration in Nice, France.
There are reports the driver fired into the crowd before running them down. The revelers have been watching a fireworks display.
Police say they found firearms and explosives in the truck after killing the driver. They also found an ID card of a 31-year-old French-Tunisian man and are checking to see if it matches the driver.
French President Francois Hollande is convening his Security and Defence Council within the next half hour. He's already said France's state of emergency will be extended for 3 months. Mr. Hollande says there is no way to deny this was in fact terrorism. In a national TV address, he said Bastille Day is a symbol of liberty, something terrorists hate.
France is afflicted by this new tragedy. It is horrified. She's horrified by what has taken place, just taken place. This monstrosity of using a lorry to deliberately kill dozens of people who just come to celebrate the 14th of July. France is afflicted, but she is strong, and she will always be stronger, I assure you, will always be stronger than the fanatics who want to strike her today.
Well, Becky Anderson joins us now from Paris. Becky, good to have you with us. What are the expectations for this Security and Defence Council meeting that the French president will start shortly?
It's very unclear at this point. You've talked about the state of emergency being extended now. It was supposed to be ending in a week or so's time. That'll now be extended, it seems, until October. And there has been no claim of responsibility in this attack. So the discussions will be about what happened and how to prevent this, one assumes, from ever happening again, but with no claim of responsibility. But ISIS in the past urging their followers to carry out this sort of attack. Many fingers, of course, pointing in their direction this morning. And it is morning here in Paris and in Nice. It is 8:30 in the morning. In 30 minutes' time, that meeting will be led by the president. He'll then accompany the prime minister down to Nice, where hospitals are appealing for blood. This is a terrible, terrible attack, which has left men, women and children, kids, dead. 18 people at least still in the ICU departments. We've heard witness accounts of this white truck simply mowing people down in the street. It travelled at something like 20 to 25 kilometres, we have heard. This coming from authorities in the very, very initial stages of what we were hearing, most of which was coming from witness accounts, it has to be said, going very slowly with a driver showering people around him with bullets. These were people who were out to celebrate Bastille Day and to watch the fireworks on the beach in Nice. And the fallout this morning in Nice can only be imagined. You've been seeing videos of the aftermath. It is absolutely dreadful.
Becky, a lot of pressure obviously now on the French President Francois Hollande, but he has some very limited options here. He's extended the state of emergency, the emergency powers. He's talking about striking ISIS in Iraq and Syria. But really, what are the options here right now in terms of security for France?
He's put 500 extra police detail on the streets of Nice. Here in the Champs-Élysées, yesterday, it seems so long ago now, but yesterday at this time, we were watching the parade, the Bastille parade, go on, and we were told then that there were 3,500 troops and security and police on the streets to secure that parade. A week ago, not even a week ago, it was the final of the Euro 2016 tournament, a tournament that people had talked about bringing the country together and providing a unifying force. Again, at the fan zone there were more than 3,500 security and police detail. These emergency powers give him the opportunity to deploy to a certain extent at will where he deems things necessary, and also, of course, gives the security and the police authorities powers to stop and search, the sort of things that they wouldn't be allowed to do under these emergency powers. But you're absolutely right. I mean, you know, one would wish that one was a fly on the wall at this meeting. I'm sure we'll find out in the coming hours exactly what was said and decided there. But you make a very good point. What more can be done to secure this country? It is an unanswered question at the moment. John?
Becky, thank you. Becky Anderson, keeping us up to date there with the very latest from Paris, as she has done for the past hours. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Becky.
And many are speculating ISIS or maybe another terror group was behind the Nice terror attack. This comes after a senior ISIS leader called on followers to use vehicles as weapons against Western targets.
Back in 2014, a group spokesperson said this: if you're not able to find an IED or a bullet, then single out the disbelieving American, Frenchman or any of his allies. Smash his head with a rock or slaughter him with a knife, or run him over with your car, or throw him down from a high place, or choke him or poison him.
Well, joining us now, security expert Aaron Cohen, who was with the Israeli Special Forces Counter-Terrorism Unit. Also back with us again, CNN law enforcement contributor, former FBI agent Steve Moore. Steve, first to you. We've been talking a lot about the fact that this is a simple attack, that you can get a truck. So from this point on, these big, large gatherings, be it a protest, be it a fireworks display, be it a concert, whatever, things will be different. Everything will change from this point on.
It has to, because now we've learned, and they've learned, another technique. And so it's not going to be enough just to put armed people at the perimeters of these large events. What you're going to have are barriers large enough to stop something that large, and that's not going to be easy. Usually what you can do is take a bus or a dump truck full of dirt or something like that. That's what I've seen used in the past, or even sea containers, ocean-going containers, and you can plop them down. But this is going to change, once again, the paradigm of how we protect events.
Aaron, 3 attacks in 18 months in France. All eyes now on intelligence once again, and people are asking, something has to change, or let me ask you more directly, what has to change?
Defense needs to be bolstered. There's 500 police officers who've just been put on the street. That's great. I'm going to go back to the Israeli triple D system: deter, detect, deny. Those are a triple multi-layered combination of security elements that you can both see and not see. The things that you can see, the armed presence that's already out there. The things that you cannot see, the undercover elements that should have been in that crowd. The training, which you can't see until it's reactive and doing the right thing. And here's another tactic that I feel like is missing in the macro picture of terror, and I think it was missing in France, and quite frankly, I think it's missing here in the United States. Aggression is a tactic. It's a real, living, breathing tactic. And when it's on the books and when it's been approved and then broken down into enough pieces to be able to allow those law enforcement agencies to be as aggressive as needed, then that becomes an actual entity that can be quantified in terms of your ability to be able to reduce overall risk.
But that speaks to a coordination among the agencies, and the question is that lacking in France?
There's no question. I think it's better now than it's ever been. But the coordination, typically amongst units that deal with terrorism, there's a lot of egos in our business. There's no question about it. Everybody wants to protect their assets. Everybody wants to protect their, trying to think of the word for stinker in English.
Territory.
Their territory, as well as their moles, who provide them with information. Terrorism is a very dark and dirty little world that involves a lot of people telling things behind people's back, and the next day you're going to go arrest that guy because he's no longer useful. So these agencies, the CIA, the NSA, which is 7 times the size of the CIA, the FBI, which has a bigger footprint now than ever in the terrorism world, these agencies have been playing nicer than ever, but it's still a very tricky world because of these safeguards that we protect.
Very quickly, Steve, this came at the end of the Euro 2016 football tournament. It was a huge security operation for that. That went off without a hitch, without being too critical of French security enforcement here. Do they let down their guard? They breathe a sigh of relief?
It's possible, and I don't want to be critical of them because they're some of the best and they are under the most pressure. It is, however, possible that after this happened, they started to say, now we can get leave done. Now, people who haven't had vacation in weeks, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't change the fact that they needed to protect against something, unfortunately, that they had not seen before.
Okay, Steve and Aaron, thank you both for staying with us.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Time for a quick break now, and we'll bring you up to date on the terror attack in Nice, France after a very quick break. Just